These'll keep your beds shaking and your chainsaws revving. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 horror movies of the 1970s. For this list, we're looking at those classics of the horror genre that left the old-school atmosphere behind and replaced it with vivid, visceral terror during a decade where horror dominated both the Oscars and the box office.
Come on out.
This is part of a series of videos spanning the decades of horror cinema from the 1920s to the 2000s. Number 10. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Bonsoir, Monsieur Benet. How nice to see you.
We begin our list with a very trippy and groovy journey into a realm of Cold War paranoia, of invaders creeping in and quietly taking over your world. This classic example of mass hysteria that is less sci-fi and more terrifying thriller was a massive box office success at its release and is still considered one of the greatest movie remakes. Starring Donald Sutherland and Leonard Nimoy as potential victims of the plant-like alien spores who are able to create perfect mindless clones of humans, this invasion has cult classics smeared all over it.
There's nothing to be afraid of. They were right. It's painless. It's good.
Number 9. Suspiria. Cult horror film maestro, and well known for his work in the giallo subgenre of horror thrillers, Dario Argento created one of his finest productions in 1977 with Suspiria. This is the mesmerizing tale of a dancer who joins a prestigious ballet academy, only to find herself in mortal danger and in the midst of what may or may not be a coven of witches. Using unconventional techniques for lighting, sound, and montage, with violently surreal but beautiful images and stark but bright, vibrant colors, as well as a memorable score by rock band Goblin, this is a modern fairy tale you won't soon forget. Number 8. Dawn of the Dead.
They kill for one reason. They kill for food. They eat their victims. Do you understand that, Mr. Berman? That's what keeps them going.
Sequels are definitely not a rarity in the horror genre, but a sequel that surpasses its original in scope, acting, writing, and originality, that must be celebrated.
What the hell is it?
Looks like a shopping center, one of those big indoor malls.
George A. Romero followed up his classic indie flick by giving people what they wanted. More zombies, more action, more gore. But this time, by locking his victims up in a shopping mall as the world around them falls apart, Romero also found an opportunity to include some scathing social commentary about our rising culture of consumerism amid all the blood and guts. Number 7. Carrie.
If I concentrate hard enough, I can move things.
Brian De Palma was well established by the 70s as a future master of the thriller, with creepy classics like Sisters and The Fury. But his horror masterpiece Carrie heralded the arrival of another important figure for the horror genre, a young writer named Stephen King.
Sit down and be quiet!
His pubescent allegory follows young Carrie White as she grows into a woman, experiences her first period, boys and crushes, and murderous telekinesis.
After the blood come the boys, like sniffing dogs.
With one of the most shocking and explosive final acts in film history, Carrie made it a prom to remember, and an unforgettable cinematic experience. Number 6. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Come on, Franklin. It's gonna be a fun trip.
The early 70s were a time of cinematic experimentation, and horror directors were doing their best to push the limits of what they could show on screen. Professor turned rogue filmmaker Tobe Hooper had no studio telling him what to do. Just a camera, a couple of friends, and the hot Texan sun.
Sally, I hear something. Stop! Stop!
What they created is one of the most unrelenting and visceral projects, whose story of a family of cannibals who attack an unsuspecting group of teens was inspired by the killings of a real-life murderer. Nightmare-inducing, gritty, and way too realistic. This one should only be seen on an empty stomach. Number 5. Alien. While many still consider this Ridley Scott gem a science fiction movie, this roller coaster ride has more in common with its horror contemporaries, since the alien in Alien acts more like a stalking serial killer than Little Green Men. Spawning multiple sequels, the original Xenomorph had us huddling alongside Sigourney Weaver in pure claustrophobic terror as she fights for survival and watches as her spaceship's crew quickly diminishes. With a phenomenal supporting cast that includes John Hurt and Ian Holm, this groundbreaker paved the way for future intergalactic monsters of the 80s. Number 4. Jaws.
I mean, we've already had 3 incidents, 2 people killed inside of a week.
Jaws didn't only jumpstart Steven Spielberg's rep for making exciting and thrilling movies, it actually took things one step further. Based on a Peter Benchley novel, it became the prototype for what was to become the summer blockbuster.
We had a shark attack at South Beach this morning, Mayor! Fatal! I've got to batten down the beach!
Taking a note from Hitchcock, the underwater creature feature follows the inhabitants of the small coastal town of Amity Island as they get stalked and killed by a man-eating shark.
I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
With the 3 heroes who band together to fight the monster giving the film its heart and soul, Jaws is a perfect mix of scares and death.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Number 3. The Omen.
On this night, Mr. Thorne, God has given you a son.
Do all politicians and diplomats make you think of the Antichrist? Screen legend Gregory Peck pays his dues to the horror genre by battling the devil himself in this suspense horror flick.
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Because of complications at birth, Robert Thorne hides the death of his newborn from his wife by replacing it with an orphan at the hospital. Little does he know, he brought home a breastfeeding Prince of Darkness, as he ignores the omens and bodies piling up around them. Giving an elegant twist to the evil child trope, its immense success was director Richard Donner's first big hit. Number 2. Halloween. Masked killers were big in the 70s. Audiences demanded more blood and gore, and they needed faceless monsters they couldn't empathize with.
What's the boogeyman?
Enter John Carpenter's stroke of genius, Halloween. What later became the prototype for every slasher film since, and is today considered a dark masterpiece, started out as an idea for a cheapo film about a psychotic murderer stalking babysitters. But in the brilliant hands of Carpenter and Deborah Hill, where we follow Michael Myers returning to Haddonfield to finish up his murder spree, you get one of the most profitable indie films ever made. Before we slice into another winner, here are a few honorable mentions.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. There was a little girl murdered over in the park tonight.
You suspect foul play?
I suspect murder and conspiracy to murder.
God damn it, this is my house!
Number 1. The Exorcist. What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Paris, you faithless swine.
Take a brilliant director and cast, amazing source material, experts in sound, editing, lighting, and unforgettable special effects, and what do you get? The most iconic images in horror cinema. An exercise in terror that dares you to keep watching. And a film that had audience members throwing up and passing out. Meet little Reagan, who shouldn't be playing with Ouija boards. She's just a kid, who now has a demon inside her.
How long are you planning to stay in Reagan?
Until she rots and lies stinking in the earth.
Get ready to never sleep again.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Do you agree with our list? Did you have a head-spinning good time?
You know what she did?
Any other monsters or demons from the 70s that you preferred? For more thrilling top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
You got any better suggestions?